each of you come up with something in your little group back there? Irresponsibility looks like, what does it look like back here? What you guys come up with?
Blaming everybody else for your issues and problems.
Blaming everybody else for your issues and problems. That's irresponsibility. Okay.
We said slacking and not owning up to what is yours.
Okay, not owning up to what is yours and slacking.
Procrastination.
Procrastination.
Ordering a wedding cake the day before your wedding. Not planning.
Procrastination.
Okay, not planning well.
Kind of like Tiffany Shaw in about 6th grade, what she said to her brother. He makes slackards look industrious.
Wow.
Slackards look industrious.
What do you think about this? In some ways, our whole culture is becoming less and less responsible. Irresponsibility is almost celebrated. Getting away with something, we almost are a little gleeful. And there's a problem here. How do you like this? There's a new twist on civil rights that goes something like this. The Constitution has given me certain rights, therefore I have the right to be irresponsible. And you don't have the right to hold me accountable. That's messed up. That's messed up. The nature of responsibility. Irresponsibility is contagious. Have you seen that? Someone in the family doesn't do this, and then that gives you the right not to do this, and then you don't do that, and then some other people don't do that, and then this doesn't happen. And how about, have you been in a place of employment that's like that? This person doesn't do this, and then that does not inspire you to do this, and then it's contagious. But I would flip it around, that responsibility is also contagious. You have some people really standing up for what's right, standing up for Jesus, standing up for truth, standing up for truth, and you know what? That becomes contagious too. What is rewarded is repeated. It's just the nature of how the world works. So in our culture where irresponsibility is rewarded, it gets repeated. And that's what you sort of go down to those levels. Anytime an individual or group of people acts irresponsibly, someone else eventually has to shoulder the burden of that irresponsibility. That's sort of just the nature of responsibility. I like this statement. You are happiest when you have responsibility, and you are happiest when you have taken that responsibility or doing a good job with it. Isn't that true? You're doing a good job at your responsibility, and you feel good about you. Those of us that don't have, maybe we shy away from responsibility because we don't want to fail, but then we feel horrible about ourselves. I've never met a happy, irresponsible person. I've never met people who have made a vehement case for the fact that it's not their fault, they're not to blame, but after they make their case, there's no smile on their face because we're created to be responsible. Absolutely. Don't you? It's not a question. The beginning of irresponsibility. And it's also the beginning of responsibility. You notice that, and this is Genesis chapter 1. You notice when God created humanity, He didn't give them laws. At first, He gave them responsibility first. We are created to be responsible. And your neighbor say, you're created to be responsible.
You're created to be responsible.
We're created responsibility. God knows what will make us happy. We're created to own something and to do something with it, to be fruitful. Let us make mankind in our image. That's the image of God. God's a responsible God, and He made you responsible. Let us make mankind in our image and our likeness, so that they may rule over the fish of the sea, the birds of the sky, over the livestock, and all the wild animals, and all the creatures who move along the ground. What does it mean to rule? Oversee, manage. God's calling us to manage. So God created mankind in His image, and His image God created them, male and female. God blessed them and said, "Be fruitful, increase in the number, fill the earth, subdue it. Rule over the fish of the sea, the birds in the sky, and over every living creature that moves on the ground." And God said, "I give you every seed-bearing plant on the face of the whole earth, and every tree that has fruit and seed in it. They will be yours for food." So far, there's really no laws other than, this is what I want you to do. The Lord God then took the man and put him in the garden to lead him to work it and take care of it. And the Lord said, and commanded the man, "You are free to eat from any tree in the garden, but you must not eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. When you eat of it, you will certainly die." That's the first rule. Rule number one. There's only one rule. Don't you like it better? How would you like it back then? Just one rule. Here's your responsibility, one rule. When the woman saw that the fruit of the tree was good for food and pleasing to the eye, and also desirable for gaining wisdom, she took some of it and ate it. She also gave some to her husband who was with her, and he ate it. Then the eyes of both of them were opened. They realized they were naked, so they sewed fig leaves together and made coverings for themselves. Then the man and his wife from the son of the Lord God as he was walking in the garden in the cool of the day, and they hid from the Lord God among the trees of the garden. But the Lord God called to the man, "Where are you?" He answered, "I heard you in the garden. I was afraid because I was naked, so I hid." And he said, "Who told you that were you naked? Have you eaten from the tree that I commanded you not to eat from?" As if God doesn't know. And this is what Adam said. We all know it. "Yes, I broke the rule. I take full responsibility for my actions. Do with me what you will, but leave Eve out of this. She's innocent."
No. Yeah. That woman.
What if that would have happened?
Oh, I thought you were really good.
What if that would have happened? No, we know what happened. The man said, "The woman you put here with me, God, it's your fault, and it's the woman's fault.
You put here.
It's the woman that you put here. She gave me some of the fruit and I ate it." Then the Lord God said to the woman, "What is that you done?" "Well, the serpent deceived me, I ate it." Well, there it is, a contagious blaming thing. It's just contagious. It just goes on from one to the next. "Oh, I'm going to work for Adam. I'm going to work for me." Irresponsibility always creates conflict. It creates tension. It creates problems. It always creates conflict, and it leads to blaming. If we're irresponsible, chances are it will lead to a blame of some sort unless we're responsible. And where there is blame, there's usually irresponsibility. Where there is blame, there is often shame because there is often guilt. Isn't it amazing and so rare when somebody steps up and says, "I'm to blame for what happened. It's not all my fault, but I'm responsible. It's my family. It's my responsibility. It's my division. I'm responsible. It's my company. I'm responsible. It's my life." The best day of your life is the one in which you decide your life is your own. What do you think? I mean, we're wanting to change. We're wanting to move forward. Fisher's got his whole life ahead of him. He's a sophomore. Pray for him this year. We were what is it, open house it's called or something on Friday?
Yes.
It's called open house. And he has a schedule and he's got figure out how to open his locker and get on that line, you get your grades and that kind of stuff and all that, he's got to figure it all out. And you got all these English people talking all the time and it's just, he's having to figure it out. Own your life. What would it mean if we would own our life? Take responsibility and own our life. What does it mean to own your life? Decide your life is your own. No more excuses, no more blaming. This is going to be our assignment this week, is I want you to observe how often you use excuses or blame in your everyday life, at work, at home, wherever. How often it slips in there. Any excuses or any blame. Now, Benita and I happen to be in the same home here. If you're in the same home or around the same people, I would ask her to just say, to lovingly say, is that an excuse for us? You see your life as a gift, an amazing journey, and you're responsible to quality of it. This is the day your life really begins, when we become responsible. That's when life begins. Author Peter John Kreeft, he says he has this on the door of his study. It says, on the door, I have a cartoon of two turtles. One turtle says to the other, sometimes I'd like to ask God why He allows poverty, famine, and injustice. And when will He do something about it? And the other turtle says to the one who just said that, I'm afraid God might ask me that same question. Why do I allow injustice, famine, and all those things? Have you ever said, why doesn't somebody do something about that? Why doesn't the church do this? Why doesn't my family do that? You do it. Pave the way. Raise the bar. Be that person. That's the same answer Mother Teresa said. She was asked why God allows all these children to die every day of starvation. How could a loving God allow that to happen? And Mother Teresa answered the question that I'm trying to answer, how could all the people in this world allow that to happen? Where He's given us all these resources to help these kids. Great question, Mother Teresa. Never forgot it. Am I taking responsibility for my life? No. Okay, let's say it again. Am I taking responsibility for my life? Really? Well, I just feel the excitement. You all feel it too? What would it really mean if we would really say, this is my life? One of the reasons reasons that I got into this company that I'm doing this vending for is that, you know why it was sold? And they liked it? Because the one who owned it is going to work. Normally the one who owns it works harder than the worker. Own your life. Get back in the game. Take responsibility. Some of us have gotten out of the game. We're standing on the sidelines and hoping somebody else will bail us out. God's given us so many tools. He's given you breath. He's given you life. He's given you a mind. Just put one foot in front of the other. So 2 challenges. First, listen to your blame. I want you to record and listen to how much that check your words. We all do it. I'm not asking you to be a better person. God's going to have to make us better. I just want you to listen to the words that come out of your mouth as they relate to blame. As you catch yourself blaming someone or something else for something, ask yourself, am I taking responsibility for my life? No. What if there be no more blame in your family or at your work? Whoa. Some years ago, when Pam Wilkinson was a part of this ministry, it was easy to utilize Pam. You know why?
She was responsible.
When she saw a problem, and when she saw things in people's lives, she just went about and helped and did. And so all I did was I just kind of put my hand on her and say, I bless you and deputize you to do what you're already doing. It wasn't difficult. I am not going to deputize people for which they're not doing. I don't know how to do that, because you've got to be responsible for what you've never done. It was simple. I believe God's looking for that kind of men, those kind of men and women, who are not saying, I wish the church this, or I wish the this and that and the other thing, or I wish, by God's grace, you're that person. You are a responsible person. And number 2, as you experience relational conflict at work, at home, with your friends, any conflict of any sort, big or small, stop and think about your own slice of the pie. Now, there was a time when I did a lot of counseling. I'm talking, my schedule was filled with counseling. And I had many couples come in. And one kind of assignment that I would, so to speak, do with couples sometimes wasn't exactly like this, but we got around to it. I'd draw a piece of pie, like on the blackboard, and say, this pie equals all the responsibility in your marriage. I want you to draw how big of the piece of the pie is your responsibility for making this marriage better. And most people wouldn't make their pie half the pie. Or they would make it, they'd make it maybe just a little slice, and they would see other people's responsibility as more than their responsibility. And everybody always looks at the other people's responsibility first than their own responsibility. And what I'm saying here is that stop and think about your slice of the pie. What's your responsibility in the conflicts? Ask yourself, what is my slice of the pie? What am I responsible for? Have I taken responsibility for what can I do to help solve this problem? What is my responsibility? Maybe your responsibility is just to pray. Maybe you need to get involved and you say, you know, if I get involved, I'm just going to get misunderstood and people are going to kick me under the curb. And, well, what would Jesus do? What does God want you to do? Get involved. Be responsible. Be the responsible one. Lift the bar. Sometimes you have to lead up. This week, Nicole, who's sort of my boss at this account that I have, she was talking to me about something, and I told her, I said, if I go there, that's a business loss. I can't do that. I just can't do what you're asking me to do. And she figured out another way. I mean, there are certain things I'll be responsible for, and there are certain things I'm not going to be responsible for. We need to know our limitations. We need to know what is our responsibility and what other people's responsibility are. But I said, I will help. I can help and do this and this, but I can't do that. Have I taken responsibility for my life? Really, am I enjoying the blame game so much that has allowed me to ignore my responsibility? What is your piece of the pie in your conflicts? Stop blaming. So the first one is, see how much you're blaming. The second one is, ask yourself, am I focusing on my responsibility? Or am I focusing on my rights? Normally, if you focus on rights, you're not going to focus on responsibility. Have you figured that one out yet? If you focus on your rights, will throw off responsibility. It's your right to be responsible. It's your right to love. It's your right to step up and be the person that God's calling you to be. So, what do you think about our new series? Any questions about our new series? Any thoughts? What do you think? Taking responsibility for my life. Voice is quiet. It's just what's with that?